Okay, so today we are translating word problems. We are not solving them, we are just translating them. So figuring out what the question is asking me to do. So we have some vocabulary we need to go over. The first one is additive inverse. That means that when a number and its additive inverse are added, their sum is, and guesses? Not 1, that's multiplication. Their sum is 0. So when we add two numbers, their sum is 0. Another word for this is the opposite. Okay, so opposite is another word for this. Okay, so what's an easy way to remember this? We just change the sign of the original number. So what is the additive inverse of 3? Negative 3. Positive 3 plus negative 3 is going to give me 0, right? So they are additive inverses. Okay, we have another one called multiplicative inverse. When a number and its multiplicative inverse are multiplied, their product is 1. Another word for that is reciprocal. And with the reciprocal, we just flip the original number upside down. So, does it matter if the sign is positive or negative? Whatever the sign is, you keep it. For reciprocal, all we do is flip. So what is the reciprocal of 3 over 4? 4 over 3. And when we multiply those two things together, what would we get? 3 times 4 gives me 12, and 4 times 3 gives me 12, and 12 over 12 reduces to 1. Okay, so when you multiply, it should reduce to 1. Alright, now we have some words that mean different things. Words that mean addition, sum, increase, more, plus. Words that mean subtraction, difference, decrease, less, diminish, minus. Multiplication words, product, double. Double means I'm multiplying by what? By 2. Let me write that down. Double means times 2. What about triple? Times 3. And times also means multiplication. Division is the hardest one to recognize. Quotient. Ratio. A ratio is the same as division. When you see the word per, it means division. So 3 cookies per person. That means every person gets 3 cookies. Half. Half is like doing what? Dividing by 2. And divided by. Okay, so all those words mean division. So let's do some examples. I'm going to leave these up. 10 more than y. What am I going to be doing here? Yeah. Addition. So it's going to be 10 plus y. It's addition. Okay, what about example 2? Double x. How could I write double x? 2x. Or x times 2, but that's the same as 2x, right? Okay, moving right along. Example 3. The cube of h. Any ideas there? Anthony? H to the power of 3. Good job. H to the 3rd power. What would the square of h be? H to the 2nd power. Okay. Example 4. The quotient of f and 9. What am I going to do here? Division. Which one goes on top? F. The one that comes first, f. So it's going to be f over 9. Okay, so the one that comes first is what goes on top. So the quotient of f on top, 9 on bottom. Example 5. This is a tricky one. 6 less than half a number. 6 less than half a number. What do I want to call my number? Okay, why don't we call the number x? What does 6 less than half of x mean? 6 minus or x, 6 minus x or x minus 6? It has to be x minus 6. If I say that Jason has 6 less cookies than Genevieve, you first have to take Genevieve's number of cookies and then subtract 6, right? So we have to subtract 6 from x. X minus 6. But something else we know about x. What else? It's half of x. So we are going to multiply by 1/2. So 6 less than half a number. 1/2 x minus 6. Okay? Alright, example 6. The product, what's that mean I'm going to do? Multiply. Of 8 and the reciprocal of x. Okay, the product of 8 and the reciprocal of x. So that means I'm going to have 8 times something, right? Okay, if I have x here, what is the reciprocal of x? Does reciprocal mean I change the sign or that I flip it? It means I flip it. It's a multiplicative inverse. X is the same as x over what? X over 1. So what would the reciprocal be? 1 over x. So this is the product of 8 and the reciprocal of x. 8 times 1 over x. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. The additive inverse of 3 increased by k. What is the additive inverse of 3? Negative 3. It's the opposite. Increased by k. So what's that mean I'm going to do? Addition plus k. So far so good? Okay, to practice our vocabulary, we have a chart. In the left column, we're going to put the additive inverse of each of the numbers. In the right column, we're going to put the multiplicative inverse of each of the numbers. So, 6. What is the additive inverse of 6? Negative 6. What is the multiplicative inverse of 6? 6 is the same as 6 over 1, so the multiplicative inverse would be 1 over 6. What's the additive inverse of negative 4? Positive 4. What is the multiplicative inverse of negative 4? I heard two things. I heard 1/4 and I heard negative 1/4. What's the answer? Negative 1/4. Multiplicative inverse does not change the sign. So the sign has to stay. Only the additive inverse changes the sign. Okay, 3/5. Additive inverse of 3/5. Negative 3/5. Multiplicative inverse of 3/5. 5 over 3. So additive inverse, we change the sign, keep everything else. Multiplicative inverse, we flip the number and keep everything else. What's the additive inverse of 0? 0. 0 is neither positive or negative. Multiplicative inverse of 0. Okay, 0 is the same as 0 over 1. The multiplicative inverse of that would be 1 over 0. Okay, go back to day 1. Going back to the first day of notes. Dividing by 0, what did I say was a big no-no? A number over 0. And I said what? No solution. So, going back to our chart, 1 over 0, can I have that? No. So what's my answer? No solution or undefined. Same thing. Okay, undefined. Can't do it. Big no-no. Okay. Let me do that just a little. Okay, last one. What's the additive inverse of negative 5 over 7? Positive 5 over 7. What is the multiplicative inverse of negative 5 over 7? Negative 7 over 5. Good job. Okay, so additive inverse, I change the sign. Multiplicative inverse, I flip it, but I keep the sign. Okay? So don't change the sign on both of them.